Do you ever wish that you could just hit the pause button, rewind time, and do that situation all over again? Many of us do. Today I'm talking about not changing time, because I can't make time slow down or speed up or reverse time, but I am going to teach you how adding pauses to your day can help you prevent some of those situations and help you excel in your leadership. Hey, my dear, I am leadership development coach Kathy Archer and author of best-selling book that's all tagged up, Mastering Confidence. What I know is that most women hit this point in their career at some point, and sometimes many times in their career where they feel in over their heads and they're wondering if they have what it takes to lead. In my online courses, through my coaching, and yes, in my book, I teach you the inner and outer tools so that you can restore your lost confidence and move from surviving to thriving in both your leadership and your life. And today, yes, we are talking about pauses. I'm just making sure my microphone is on and you're not hearing me. Sorry about that. While I am getting ready to talk to you more about that, I'm going to share this into my Confident Women Leaders group. Confident Women Leaders group is something you may be interested in, and I've got the link up in the notes. But while I'm sharing this, what I want to know is, hi, Dawn, great to see you. What I want to know is, how many times in the last week have you wished that you could hit the pause button, rewind time, and do something over again? So give me a number in the chat box while we are sharing this into our Confident Women Leaders group. I'm waiting for Dawn. She's going to tell me, I know she is, how many times she in the last week has felt like she wanted to. I should try and do one thing at a time and not multitask. Posted to Confident Women Leaders group. Good to roll. How many times in the last week you wish you could hit the pause button, rewind time, and start over again? Hey, Kim, great to see you. And Dawn says, me. Yes, absolutely. We know. We all wish that we could rewind time. You know, these words fall out of our mouths and we feel like, oh, crap, and we're trying to grab them back, or something happened and we're like, man, I just wish I could do that over again. What we're going to talk about today is how learning to pause more makes you a better leader. What did I get there? Hi, Dawn. Many times. Yeah, it's too many times to count, isn't it, Dawn? Absolutely. What the best leaders are able to do, the best leaders are able to both recognize and manage their emotions. That's called emotional intelligence. They recognize and regulate. They can sense that anger coming in, and rather than those words falling out of their mouth and wishing they could pause and rewind time and pull it back, they catch those words before they fall out of their mouth, or they recognize that perhaps they are feeling irritated and annoyed and they're withdrawing. Well, there are times we need to withdraw, but there's other times that we actually need to engage and deal with a conflict situation or address a tough issue. And when we don't, those situations linger and they fester and they go on and on and on. So what we want to be able to do is pull back and go, wait a minute, what's going on here? Tune in and then address the situation. That's what the best leaders do. But here's what we do as women leaders often. And again, put a note in the chat box, ladies, if you've ever done this. You've thought, I just want to shut my emotions off. I want to push them down, tune out, not let them get the better of me, and shut those emotions off. I hear it a zillion times in my coaching. A client will bring an issue to me, a situation that they're struggling with, and they will say, like, I just want to deal with this without getting emotional. Ever said that? Give me a thumbs up if you've ever kind of felt that. I just don't want to bring my emotions in. And what we've thought or learned is this set of beliefs about our emotions as women. What we believe is that emotions get in the way, that emotions are wrong or unhelpful, that we should learn to shut them off, and that they don't belong in the workplace. Have you ever felt that or heard that or kind of thought about that? That's often what happens. Kim says tune out. Yeah, it's like we get into these situations and we think, if I'm going to be professional, then my emotions have to stay at the door. And the truth is, we can't tune that out. We can't shut that off completely. It's always there underneath. And when we're not aware of it, and when we have that sort of part of us that is trying to push it aside and forget it, it actually hijacks us, and we get sideswiped by this set of emotions. And when we thought we were in control, suddenly our emotions are in control of us. And what we want to learn to do is get away from that sort of sideswiping, hijacked feeling by our emotions, and be aware of them and manage them, regulate them, tune into them, control them, rather than us our emotions controlling us. Let me say that one more time. We want to control our emotions rather than our emotions controlling us. That's a really important distinction, because what often happens is have you ever had this situation? Something little happens, perhaps with your partner or a friend or something, and you start to stew about it. And like hours later, you are still mad. You're still irritated. You're still annoyed. And at that point, you can't even remember what it was, or you know what it was, but it just really isn't the real issue. And, you go on and on and on for hours and days sometimes before you have this big fight, and it's totally something different. Like they didn't take their shoes off at the door and they tracked mud in the house, or the whole toilet seat issue, or they said something about your mother. And down the road, after you've sorted this all out, you realize it was about something totally different. Like, you don't respect the work I do in the house, or you don't think that I do anything around here. And we start to recognize that what was going on was a whole different set of emotions. And that's what happens in our work world as well, and as leaders, is that we don't recognize what's going on. Often what we're feeling is a lack of confidence. We're feeling inept or lacking competence. We're feeling like somebody's judging us as not being credible. We are embarrassed. We are worried that we are going to not meet standards, expectations, that we're not going to be able to handle everything. We're floundering, and all of that's getting the better of us. And so last week, what I talked about was the inner guidance cycle, which is pause, ponder, pivot, proceed. And yes, Kim, emotional and increased intelligence. Yes, in the moment. That's right. We're trying to sort of come back to that in the moment feeling. And that's what the inner guidance cycle does. It starts with pause, where in that moment we go, whoa, wait a minute, and we pause. The second step is ponder. We start to reflect, what's going on inside of me? What are the thoughts I'm having? What are the emotions and feelings I'm having? And what's the body sensations I'm having? That heart thumping, the tightness in your belly, the whole body feeling stiff. Those are body sensations. So pause, ponder. Then we pivot. We're like, wait a minute, is this what I want to be feeling? Is this what I want to be experiencing? No, what is it that I want to be experiencing? I want to feel in control. What helps me feel in control? And that's that whole pivot place. And then we proceed, which is the fourth step of the inner guidance cycle, and come back into, I need to have that conversation with someone. I need to take a break. Maybe it's that I need to do some training so that I can increase my level of competence so that I feel more confident in the situation. But it's that inner guidance cycle that gives you access to all of those emotions to increase your emotional intelligence and be that effective leader. So today we're talking about starting that pause part. Next week we'll talk more about ponder, and then we'll shift into all of the other four. But I really want to get into the pause piece today. When we think about pausing, tell me if this is true for most of you. A, we don't want anybody to catch us pausing. And B, we think it's a perk or a privilege, and often something we do after work. It's not something that we think we're allowed to, put our feet up on the desk or take a moment to sit down and relax. That looks like you're lazy, looks like maybe you don't have enough to do. And certainly as women leaders, we want to make sure that we are seen as doing a good job, credible, busy and active, multitasking, meeting everybody's needs. We're often caretakers and nurturers, so it's go, 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 go. Well, no wonder at the end of the day we're exhausted, for starters. But we also are almost running away from our emotions all day. We're almost trying to not allow those emotions and feelings to catch up to us, because Lord knows if they do, they're going to be in control. They are going to be the ones that are taking us and running through our day. So we're not feeling in the moment. Our thoughts are either in the future. I got to go to this meeting. I have to have this conversations. I need to send this email. I need to do this tonight, take the kids there. We're either in the future or we're in the past, like we talked about at the beginning today, regretting what was going on, worrying about things that we said or did, wishing we could do it over again, kind of reliving those moments and regurgitating them, going, oh my God, they think I'm an idiot. We're either in the future or in the past. Very rarely are we in this moment, present to what's happening around us and within us. And that's what pausing does. It lets the world catch up to us. It lets our emotions catch up to us and our feelings catch up to us. It lets us come back to what's going on here, not in the future, not in the past, but right here in this moment. And that's what we really need to do, is really slow down and connect to what's going on in this moment. When we slow down and connect, that's when we widen that gap between the email, the phone call, the conversation, and what we're feeling, thinking, experiencing in our body, and our subsequent action, behavior, comment, thing that we go and do. We need to widen that gap so that we can recognize, I'm having this thought, I'm feeling this. That's not where I want to be. That's not going to get me to the place I want to go. In terms of, let's say, for example, you have a situation with somebody else, whether it's your boss, an employee, somebody else in the sort of sector that you're working with, and you're having maybe not such a great relationship with them. And where you want to be is resolving that and getting to that point where you guys are working together, alongside each other and moving forward instead of feeling that tension. And so if you are way ahead of yourself, you're way ahead going, yeah, that conversation's not going to go well. I just know it's not. There's no point in even having it because it's not going to go well. Or you're in the past going, well, last time I tried this, it didn't work. She just did that, or he just did this, or I fell apart. And you're in either of those places. And so when you come back, pause to this present moment, you can go, okay, that thought's not going to help me resolve our issues. That sort of feeling inside me, that tension, that irritation, that annoyance isn't going to get me to where I want to go. We need to go to, what's the feeling I want to have? Well, I want to feel confident that I can engage in that conversation. Maybe I want to feel compassionate about what they're going through. Maybe I want to feel engaged in both of us aligning with the vision that we have. Yeah, we have differences of opinion, but we both want the same end point. What do I need to feel? What do I need to be experiencing to get to that point? That's what pausing allows you to do. A lot of that work is the ponder stage, which we're talking about more next week, but you got to stop first. You have to settle down, let the world catch up with you before you can get on with that. Does that make sense? Is this resonating for you? Give me a thumbs up, share a comment so that I know that this is making sense, because this is important work as a leader. If you want to move into that leadership role where you're really excelling, you need to get to that point where you're in control of your emotions, not your emotions being in control of you. So there's a whole section in Mastering Confidence on emotional intelligence. And on page 103, one of the things I say is managers that kick butt are the ones that both recognize and regulate their emotions. Emotionally intelligent leaders are in control of how they feel versus their feelings being in control of them. So that's a really important distinction, and that's where pausing comes in. We have to slow down and let things happen. Now, here's where this gets a little bit tricky. And each week when I do these sessions, you know that I have a guide sheet for you. So Kim gives me a thumbs up. Absolutely. That's where we are. Today's guide sheet, and again, you'll get this up in the notes. Today's guide sheet is about learning to pause. And so in today's guide sheet, I give you some ideas of how to do that. The first are some apps that you can use. The two apps that are incredibly underused in this situation, underutilized, is your timer app on your phone and your schedule your calendar in your phone. Schedule in things. I was talking to a client yesterday and she had scheduled her lunches in after her and I talked about this. And she says, it's so weird to see on my calendar lunch break. And yet, if we don't schedule it in, often it does not happen. And so I want you to go to your calendar app on your phone or your however you do your calendar. Maybe you still use a day timer. And I want you to schedule lunch breaks in, because you need to slow down so the world and your feelings and your emotions and what's going on and you can catch up to you. That's how you're going to start to regulate your emotions. If you wait till the end of the day and you try and, go home and have a bubble bath or a glass of wine and unwind, there's this whole just bag full of emotions that you've missed and you haven't been in control of, you haven't managed throughout your day. And that's when you go home and you fall apart and you cry and you yell at your kids and I hope you don't kick the dog. That's an old saying that I wish would disappear. But we do that kind of stuff. We have to stop, maybe at lunchtime, maybe at coffee breaks, let everything catch up to us and go, wow, that conversation at 9 o'clock didn't go so well. Maybe I wasn't the person I wanted to be, the type of leader. Maybe I said something that maybe I have a little bit of regret. Maybe I wasn't clear. What do I want to do about that? And maybe at, noon, you decide, I'm going to go back, re-engage with that person, kind of clarify what happened there so we can move on. I don't want that to linger for the next week. And that's what pausing allows us to do. So that's one of the things in there is some apps. Then I've also shared a couple apps around meditation. Now, you don't have to become a meditation guru to let this help you, but if you could do 1 or 2 minutes a day of meditation, you would start to see differences in your life. I, at this point, only do 5 to 7 a day. That's it. I don't, I'm not like meditating for 20 minutes or an hour or 3 times a day. Very, very, very short, little spurts of meditation can help. So I've included a couple apps for that. Then I've included 5 books that talk about pausing as leaders. And I think this is really important. I want you to see how the most effective, the strongest, the leaders that excel are ones that have added pauses into their day. And I want you to see how it shows up in the real world. The one book that I really like is Mindful Leadership. And this is Maria Gonzalez, and she's a Canadian author. Just a short, quick little read. And let me tell you, it is jam-packed full of little gems that help you add mindfulness into your workday, help you pause and learn how to do that. And then on the second page, I've added a whole exercise out of Mastering Confidence that tells you how to schedule pauses in. So exercise 19, in Mastering Confidence, after I think almost every chapter, there is an exercise for you. There is also in Mastering Confidence a free course that goes with it that helps you learn how to install this inner guidance system into your daily practice so that you're using it constantly. So those are up in the notes. Here's the thing, especially as women leaders, we have this tendency to want to shut our emotions off, tune them out, completely eradicate them, because we have this belief that to be a professional, strong leader, we are not supposed to be emotional. And let me tell you, that is a mistaken belief. Our emotions can guide us. The more we tune into them and learn to manage them, the more effective we're going to be. We cannot shut our emotions off, but what we can do as women leaders, especially as women leaders, we have this incredible gift of this set of emotions in us. We can learn to use them better. And to do that, you have to tune in more often. Pausing helps you tune in. Grab the guide sheet in the notes so that you can start to learn to add pauses in. If you have any questions for me, pop them in. If this is helpful for you, please share with your colleagues, your friends, into your newsfeed. Because I think as women leaders, we need to learn to stop trying to be ice queens and shut our emotions off. We need to stop trying to push our emotions to the side when we show up at work every day. And we need to learn to tune in and use them in our work, use them in our experiences, use them in our conversations to be more effective leaders, to learn how to have those conversations differently, engage in some of that conflict in a different way, to learn how to use our intuitions and our guides, that inner guidance system better so that we can be better leaders. So make sure that you go grab the link up in the side notes. Make sure that you use whatever it is that you need to do to learn to pause better. Because when you do, you're going to do that whole inner guidance cycle piece where you're pausing, then you start to ponder. And again, we're going to talk more about pondering next week, where you start to reflect on what's going on and where you want to be. And that's going to give you that ability to do that shift in perspective, do that pivot place where you're like, that's not where I want to be. This is where I want to go. And you start to say, well, how do I get there? What do I need to do to get there? And then you proceed back into action. That's the whole inner guidance cycle. Last week's Facebook Live was all about that. And if you go grab that sheet, you're going to find a print off of the inner guidance cycle that's going to help you learn how to do this better. And it's all clearly outlaid in Mastering Confidence. And on that note, I wanted to share with you, every few months I do what's called a Mastering Confidence Intensive. And so it is like a book club on steroids. And you'll find the information about this at silverrivercoaching.com/MC intensive. And what it is over the course of 8 weeks, I'm going to dive in with you and a group of other women to learn how to master your confidence using the inner guidance cycle. And so what you're going to do is we're going to go through the book together in what's called a learning community. And so there's a private Facebook group where we talk about, the exercises in mastering confidence, where you learn to, go through this together, where you bring those exciting ideas in and you start to go, okay, this is where I'm struggling. This is what I'm having problems with. You get to go through the online course in a learning community. So we're going to start that the end of June, because I know some people really like to read books over summer. So it's a summer book club. We're going to kind of go through Mastering Confidence together. So again, if you're interested in that, silverrivercoaching.com/MC intensive. And I think the link is up in the notes, but if it's not, I'll make sure that I add it after. Any questions, let me know. Either if you're watching live or on the replay. Again, if this is helpful, please share it in your newsfeed. Make sure you hit the subscribe button or the follow button so that you get, next week's Facebook Live, where we're talking about that ponder piece, how to start to create some of that change in what's going on in you so that you can learn to master those emotions, be more in control of them rather than those feelings hijacking you and leaving you feeling out of control, where you want to hit that pause button, rewind, and do it all over again. When you learn to move into that place where you can be more mindful as a leader, where you can tune into your emotions more, when you can regulate them and manage them, that's, my dear, when you're going to move from surviving to thriving in both your leadership and your life. Go make the rest of your day awesome. And make sure you come back next week and join me then. See you, ladies. Bye-bye.